Alright. Okay. Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Anhedonia. As much as I'd like to make the intro as long as usual, I also really want to get into what we're working on today. So, if you saw the last episode, you'd know what this is, but in case you didn't, and for some reason this is where you're starting, which... fair, I tend to start series like 300 episodes in too. We're working on a power bank situation. Put simply, we have a nuclear reactor now, but all of the power it's generating is essentially wasted because we don't need all of the power from it. It's topping us up, don't get me wrong, and it's taking us through the night, but during the day, it's basically just wasting away power. So what we want to do is we want to start plugging this thing in to a set of batteries. And specifically, I want to start using the energy cell nitros. Now, all in all, a little more expensive than the actual reactor nitro blocks, because not only do these require the spirited, niotic, blazing, hardened, and basic energy cells, but each one also requires, that'd be 32, 4, 8, 12 nitro crystals per block, and we need a hell of a lot of these. So basically, for the most part, I'm just gonna start farming these up, which, don't get me wrong, for us is easy, and at the moment it doesn't even take that long, but it's still a lot of blazing crystals that we're gonna need. So, I'll see you when we're done farming. I've been here for a while, and during this time, I've kind of been wasting the crystals that these things produce, because I've slowly but surely been replacing the spirited, or are they the basic as well, but the spirited and the basic rods with nitro rods, simply because they're actually cheaper than the power bank. Nitro rods just require the nitro capacitors, and we already have the the spirited ones made. So I've kind of just been making nitro capacitors and upgrading these ones. These ones are the ones that are going to take a while because I have to upgrade them all the way to spirited, but it should hopefully speed up this process. Okay, so it's not quite having a niotic, or I guess nitro, energy cell just yet, but we've just crafted the basic energy cell, and while that might not seem like the most important part to jump in at, that's because we've just crafted the basic energy cell, because I've spent the past couple of hours, aside from watching a documentary, crafting up all of this niotic and spirited and nitro and energized stuff so that I can take this basic energy cell, and then I can turn it into a hardened energy cell. And then I can take that hardened energy cell and turn it into a blazing energy cell. Just like that. And then I can take this blazing energy cell and turn it into a niotic energy cell. Then using the niotic cells, I can make us a spirited cell. And of course, putting those spirited capacitors together can get us a nitro energy cell. And there we have it. Oh, and I tell you, this took a long time to get. I mean, I've used up all the time I have today to get this. We'll be getting more, don't you worry. Episode's certainly not over yet. These are already segmented quite well into rackets of 3, but if we want to connect them all together, we wouldn't be able to put them in rackets of 3, because you'd have one here, one here, one here, and you could run the cable along here and along here, but then the middle one wouldn't get power. Then again, we could just run the middle one and have the cables here and here, but then we're not making good use of space. So I think the best option here would just to be to set them up in stacks of 3 in terms of space, but then have the cables run through the middle instead, which means we can start by putting this one here. Then we can run the cable across in preparation for the rest of the cells joining, and then we can run the cables all the way up and then across the roof, connecting it to the main power grid. There we go, this bat box is now getting some charge in it. There we go. See, look at that. All of that power that ordinarily would have gone to waste is now being drained into here. Concerning issue here being, though, that somehow we've run out of uranite. Why is the farm not going? Extremely odd that the farm stopped. That's weird. But it hasn't. It's so strange. It's a shame we've gotten no extra seeds from this so far, though. Still, that's this task done. On to the next one. Okay, so from the looks of this, we actually have enough tier 3 crystals. Just over, I believe, or maybe exactly, I'm not entirely sure. But we have just enough chironite crystals that we should be able to upgrade this void miner from a tier 3 to a tier 4. It's taken quite a bit of time to get this far. About a week or two, now that I think about it, of inconsistent AFKing. But we should be in a position that we can just upgrade this now. So I'm gonna grab the flash memory card from out... wait, what? I'm gonna grab the flash memory card from out of here. I'm gonna dismantle this thing, and then we're gonna go and rebuild, or I guess use the parts, since you can't really EMC these versions of the blocks, to make the tier 3. So I'll be right back. Crap, that's not good. According to this, we only have 28 structure frames, when according to this, we need 44. And we only have 10 chironite interconnects left, which would only leave us with 38 structure frames. I believe I miscounted. I've already taken apart the laser to start building. That's not good. And it has to be a tier greater than or equal to 3. Oh. So I could put the tier 2 back together by upgrading this one into the tier 2. And then use the tier 3 structure blocks. Do I want to do that? I might have to. Okay, guess we're putting the tier 2 back together. Great. I've got nothing else to do now. I mean, beyond just wait. Because the only other things that I really have to do is wait for the tier 3 to be buildable, and plug the infinity charger in, so that we can start charging up the infinity nuke and the infinity hammer. So I guess we're going back down to the basement. But herein lies the issue that I can't really plug in the infinity charger. Also, check out the extra energy cells I managed to make off camera while I was waiting for all of that chironite. The issue herein lies that I can't really plug the infinity charger into this system, because it will just start draining power from the entire base. For example, if I plug this in directly next to the reactor, it's just gonna start sucking up power until it hits, what is that, 1 million, 100 million, 100 billion, until it hits 1 trillion FE. Which, don't get me wrong, it's taking that power, but because it's charging up to 1 trillion FE, it's draining all the power from the reactor, it's draining all the power from the power banks, and it's draining all the power from the solar panels. And since there's no indication of just how much power this thing allows in, I have to assume it works at the same rate that these cables do, which is 3.2 million FE per tick, which I've just run the math on, is 65.4 million power per second. 65.4 million power per second. Now, this thing seems to generate at its peak 2.6 million energy per second. And in total, this solar panel grid provides us with 1.2 million, or if you want to get specific, 1.280 million every second. Which means in total, looking at this, we are only generating 3,880,000 FE per second. That means that our base is going to be drained of power in... Well, I think I might have done something wrong, because according to my calculations, we should have run out of power in 0.0593 seconds. Which, I mean, to be fair, I can't test that, because we are completely out of power now, according to the cables. This system is near enough completely empty, but the point stands that we're only on 7 billion here, and we need 1 trillion. So while this infinity charge is plugged in, we're just not gonna have any power. So I guess all that's left to do now is to just reenact Moon Knight. Let me just gaze off into the stars real quick. Oh, it's working? It's working. Haha. Oh, that's good. So, after I sort of Moon Knighted my way into the future, I've been a little busy getting all of this stuff ready, and we've done it. We've managed to upgrade to the Chironite tier Void Miner. This is the tier 3, I believe? Yeah, the tier 3 Void Miner, which is just absolutely amazing. And as you saw for a second there, looking at our new mineable drops list, we've got a 27% chance of Erodium, a 13% chance of palladium, or I guess palladium instead of palladium. Litherite, 27%. Lonsdaleite, 3%, still quite rare to get some Lonsdaleite, and of course Chironite has also gone up to the 27% chance. Now, one thing I do want to do is I just want to quickly switch out the Crystal Miner Flash Memory for the Magical Ore Miner Flash Memory. But before I do that, I actually have to give this thing an output, because I kind of forgot to give this thing an output, so hold on a second. Right then, so if I just switch this Flash Memory out now, looking at the mineable drops, it's possible for us to get Rock Crystal, Ex-Petrified Ore, Arcane Crystal, Runestone, Prosperity, Inferium, Stellar Arcanum. Very good that there's a chance that we can get this, even though it's a very low percentage. Dark Runestone and Vintium. Kind of a letdown. The only two that I really care about is Rock Crystal Ore and Stellar Arcanum, and even then, pretty low percentages, all things considered, which isn't great for us. I do want to check. I'm going to switch these out again. Wait, what? That's the second time that's happened. I wanna switch those out again so that it goes back to collecting crystals for us, because I really want to know if any of these offer the chance for us to actually get a hold of any Orthomodium ores. Ah, what a stroke of bad luck. Turns out the Void Miner can't actually get us any of the Orthomodium ores, which is not fun. And considering we were making it to try and get the Orthomodium ores, that means we have kind of been wasting our time. But on the positive side, it does mean we will never run out of literally anything else. Because even though we could use seeds, this thing is basically just another alternative for that, except we don't have to craft the seed for each of the individual things, we just have to get lucky. That aside though, that's another task done. Probably gonna take me another week plus of AFKing just straight up next to the machine for us to get the materials required to build the next tier of Void Miner. But all in all, I'm quite happy with the progress that we've made there. Oh look, another storage cell. Don't you just love coming back to having these completed? And in we go. But that does mean that unfortunately now the next few steps of my plan are just a waiting game. Because everything that I need done just requires me to wait for it to be done. I need to wait for my weapons to charge. I need to wait for the Void Miner to give me the crystals. And I need to wait for the materials necessary in order to craft more of those bat boxes. So for the time being, I guess it's just back to moon knighting. Okay, so even after AFKing for a hell of a long time, there's admittedly not been much change in how far along we are in our plans, especially because it's only been about a week since you last saw me. We have not had much progress at all, but one thing that I have discovered or realized or remembered in that time is that there is one other thing we can do besides wait. Okay, why is it doing that? Why is it auto-clearing my JEI box? I'm sorry, excuse you? Weird-ass system. Anyway, so do you see these charms here? Charms of X or Sight, right? Well, I originally thought these were kind of naff and useless because I thought, okay, why bother crafting them into a charm that I can turn off and on again when I could just drink it and be really fast? I mean, there's obviously the added benefit of you can pause it if you need to repair your pickaxe or whatever while you're mining, but beyond that, I didn't see much of a reason to go for them until I discovered recently they can be enchanted. Specifically, they can be enchanted with the Eternal Stellar, making them last forever. And while we don't have the resources necessary yet to make as many of these as we need, we can certainly get the resources to make one of them. Once we have that one of them, we can apply it to either an Orthomodium Sight charm or a Vibranium Sight charm. I'm gonna go with Orthomodium to start with, just because it's the harder of the two to find. And then we can make this charm last forever, as in, we can see all the Modium all the time. No pun intended. So all we're missing are 2 ingots of all the Modium. That's it. We have everything else we need to make one of these. And all the Modium itself is really irritating to find, but after having spent all that time getting unobtainium, I am not worried at all. So I'm going to take my pretty little ass right back over to where we were mining it, and I'm going to get us 2 pieces. Right, okay, that's one. I got tired of strip mining, so I just sort of dug down in the ocean. But we got one. Eventually. Now we're going to find one more. And that's another 4. After all of that, that's only 4 more. I cannot wait to get this charm done. Now, it didn't have a recipe in NEI, but I am slightly concerned about what would happen if I mixed all the modium with the unobtainium inside of the smeltery, because we've still got soul lava in here, so it will smelt, and logically it should double the amount that we get out of it. But I think what I'm going to do, just in case, because again, as much as I would love the mixed alloy, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to do that by accident. Let me grab the ingot template. And let's just pour 7 of the 8 out of here so that we can have 1 in as a bit of a control, a bit of an experiment, and the rest will just become, all the modium. And just before we put it in the smeltery, let's just grind it up so that we can, well, double our double. Boy math is having to count on your fingers, and oh, would you look at that? Item cannot be molten. Shit. Well, there's certainly one way to fix this. There we go, take all 8 of these, and we only really need to sacrifice 1, and we only really need to quote-unquote sacrifice it just to put it into molten form, because, I mean, it won't double it, but it doesn't steal any of it, so let's just throw a single one of these in the smeltery. Let the soul lava do its business. Oh, it hasn't mixed. Okay, so, literally right where we left off, all we can do, or all we have to do rather, is place the 2 All-the-Modium in there to grab ourselves an Eternal Stellar. I don't know what remaining right-click uses means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it does. All I know is that if we craft it with something in an anvil, it makes it permanently invulnerable. And like I mentioned before, even though again we still certainly don't have the resources to make as many of these as we need right now, we do have the resources to make 2 of them. And with these 2 of them, I just had the biggest brain idea ever. Hang on. I am begging you, please. Oh, no. Oh, I thought I could make an infinitely reusable one. Okay, that's sad. But what we can do with these 2 is we can take the All-the-Modium, the Unobtainium, and the Vibranium, and actually, hang on a second. We can make 3 of them, and we can take the Vibranium, the All-the-Modium, and the Unobtainium, and we can make potions for each of them. We can calcify it. 1, 2, 3. And then we've got to go down into the machine room, because for some reason I put it in the machine room, and we've got to brew ourselves some potions. There we go, mundane potions, just like predicted. Now we add the calcinated All-the-Modium powder. There we go. Last step should now be to craft them into a charm, or I guess second to last step should be to now craft them into a charm, which just requires blaze powder from the look of it. There we go, charm of All-the-Modium site, and apply the Eternal Stellar. No? What? You're kidding! I swear this is like the strategy. There's no way the internet lied to me about this. Surely not. Bros, it might be over for us. Oh, we're cooked, bros. We are so cooked. Turns out it did used to work like this. We used to be able to do this. But then they changed it in an update to the mod pack. I guess in a version of the mod pack before the one I'm currently in, to make it so that you can't do that anymore. Man. There is one other option that we could try for this, by the way. There's only one other thing that we can try, and that's to get a disenchanter. If we grab disenchanter, where is it? I think it means this one from Cyclic. If we can create a disenchanter from Cyclic, one thing it says to do... Where do we put this? We shouldn't really put it in the computer room, but we don't have a magic room. Let's just put it... No, we can't keep filling stuff up down here either. Ah! Where do we put this? The basement. It's going in the basement. If we put it here... Oh, it needs power. Are you my hole? Fine, you're a little out of place. It can go down here. Wait, no, we have a place we can put this. I just remembered. Let's just put it over here. We have no use for this alcove anymore. Let's put it here. Okay, so here's the deal of how the disenchanter works. It allows you to take enchantments off of items that already have enchantments and put them onto a book so that you can put it on something else, and then you can also duplicate the book if that's how you want to play things. But all of our armor is currently indestructible, except for our gem helmet, and it's the artifacts that we have that need to be made invulnerable or indestructible. That's the term that it uses, alongside all of the ones we created for Ruby and Ruby's set of armor. Now, it's our steel armlet of resistance that looks to be taking the most sort of wear and tear out of everything we've got so far, so I feel like we should put it on that first, just to heal it up. Because then, even if it doesn't work, we'll still have a charm that is invulnerable or indestructible or whatever the hell it uses. Indestructible. So let's take this. There we go. And it's going to fix itself up nice and quick. And now what we've got to do is we've got to take this back down to the disenchanter, which I've just realized how much we're going to be running up and down the rooms with, and that's an explosion off in the distance. Just going to ignore that. And we place the armlet of resistance in the disenchanter with a book. And I feel like I might not know how to use the disenchanter. Right, okay, I've figured it out. It wants me to piss on it, and I wish I was being hyperbolic. It needs liquid XP. Specifically, it needs 100 millibuckets of XP to actually transfer over. So I'm gonna need to create a couple of extra things. That is an XP drain. Well, I need a singularity tank first. Let's put that up there. There we go. There we go. That's an XP drain singularity tank. Ooh, I will take those with me. Finally, a use for all of this XP. All I need now are some fluid pipes. Let me grab the wrench. If I break down here, at least this time I can plan where I'm breaking down. Put this here, and then feed this up and into the side. And then I set this with the wrench to be the output. That should feed XP into here when it's given the XP. So let's just take these stone bricks here. Let's just make this a little more presentable. And then we should just be able to stand on the drain, and it should do the rest for us. Hey, there we go! We're pissing now! Oh god, the angle makes it look like I'm actually just pissing on the table. Look at all of that fluid XP. Look at that. If we switch this, it should... There we go. We now have a book that legitimately just makes things completely indestructible. So we can put this back on us now. Again, just to clarify, can't confirm that this is going to work. But if everything is working the way it should be, and it's not just hard-coded into the mod that you can't enchant charms anymore, we should just be able to apply it this way. Oh, you have to be kidding, please. Great, we can't enchant the charms. We can't enchant the charms. The game's cucked us. Maybe there's a way I can salvage this. I've got to find myself a condenser that's not being used right now. I'm begging, please. No, they're just blank. What do you mean they're blank? How do you get a blank enchanted book? Wait a second, hang on. Hang on, there is a way to enchant this to be unbreakable. Infusion enchanting, 100 levels. Requires exactly 50 Eterna, requires at least 85 but no less than 95 Arcana, and requires at least 8.5 and no more than 13.5 Quanta. How does this work? Hello? I don't remember where I just paused, and if I've been paused that whole time, I'm actually gonna rip my hair out. But as I was saying, since there's no way I'm gonna be able to use the Eternal Stella on the other charms, I'm just gonna use them now to reinforce my other charms. So I'll make my Wind Force Gauntlets indestructible, and I can put those back on now. Why do I now have 2 of them? Oh, okay, visual bug. And I'll put the last one on my Arcane Relic. There we go. Right back up again. So we have a crafting station over here, but we have no Eterna, no Quanta, and no Arcana. And this is all from Apotheosis. That's what this extra enchantment stuff is from. So how do we get... Oh, would you look at that? Different types of bookshelves that give you a lot of different effects. So we need 100% Eterna and 100% Arcana. But we can't have any Quanta. I don't know what Rectification does. But from the looks of it, in that case, our best bet is going to be Heart-Forged Seashelves, which require Prismarine Shards, an Infused Sea Shelf at level 3, and a Heart of the Sea, and an Infused Sea Shelf requires a regular Sea Shelf in an Infusion Enchanting table with Eterna, Quanta, and Arcana already at a level 45 Infusion. What You know what? It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Why would I bother? Why should I bother? Why did I need these again? What reason did I need to make a renewable source of these again? Because, I mean, bearing in mind, this is already just not renewable as it stands right now. Why was I doing any of this? What was I trying to make? Because there's nothing left. There is honestly just nothing left that I think could make it worth it. We have everything we need. Oh, I remember now, the Eternal Stellars. Yeah. That thing I don't even need unobtainium for. That thing that I kind of only need all the modium and vibranium for. And I only need a certain amount of it. I don't need an infinite amount. Because, again, there's no way of crafting the endgame star anymore. Or the cataclysm. We can make a star shard. But we can't make the star. Can't make the black hole. Can make the dragon soul, though. Can't make the oblivion shard. Can't make an improbable probability device. Can't make a dimensional seed. Oh, well, you can make a dimensional seed. I have no idea what that does, but hello, that's a lot of EMC. What? You know what? Let me just do the math. Let's do the math on how many of these I actually need now. It's 2 of these and 2 of these for every 1 Eternal Stellar. So let's count how many I need. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30? I probably got the math wrong, but we only need 30 of each of these. And I mean, yeah, it took me about 3 hours to find 5, but I have that kind of time to waste. Trust me, I mean it when I say I have that kind of time to waste. Because I'm just going to be AFK sat on the server doing fall anyways anyway, because I'm going to be waiting for this thing to go. Because I mean... Oh, I've cleared it out recently, but... in the entire time I've been recording for today, I cleared this out at the start. This is all it's gotten me. I'm pretty sure this thing's not even working as fast as it's supposed to, and I can't begin to imagine why. Oh wait, I can! It's because the moment I leave the chunks, it stops updating, and I can't use a chunk loader because the chunk loader mod crashes my game, and I can't use the built-in chunk loader because it just doesn't work. No matter what I do, if I click to force load these chunks, they don't load. They don't stay loaded. Things don't happen when I'm not here. You know what? What time is it for me? What time is it right now? It is 7 p.m. I live nocturnally. I have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have about 10 hours before I have to, like, go to bed. 11, 12, technically. I have 12, since I only go to 5 if I'm being an old man. I reckon I can find 30 pieces of all the modium and vibranium in 12 hours. So I'm gonna do that, because I'm kind of just sick of this now. I'm gonna be honest. You've pushed me so far around that I've gone from demotivated to so motivated to finish this that I'm willing to sit here and rot for 12 hours. So you know what? I will see you when I'm done. Or halfway done. I might check in at the halfway point. See you then. I'm not even kidding when I say I didn't even need to check in halfway with you guys. I was being 100% serious. I genuinely planned on checking in when I had 30. But I've just been mindlessly moving about this one singular part of this warped forest. I've just finished scanning over most of it. I still have this entire segment here. I haven't even been in that segment yet, and there's still more. Just everywhere. It is not hard to find this stuff. But yeah, a stack and 6 of vibranium. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you can't really use vibranium for anything. Nothing specific, at least. Once you've got, like, most of the armor and the weapons, I guess you can make a vibranium furnace, but we don't even need that. The rest of this is just interchangeable with everything else. But either way, we have more than enough vibranium to kill a horse with, and more than enough vibranium for us to craft the Eternal Stellars. Now it's the All the Modium's turn. Okay, and after grinding it out, we have a stack and 46 crushed vibranium, and, 13 netherrack that we can just get rid of. And before I go and smelt these up, I do just want to check very quickly. There we go. We got ourselves another 16 million ME storage drive. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, don't you just love it when your game crashes when you're using an item that's time sensitive, and then by the time you load back into the world after it's uncrashed, it's going to be gone because your mod pack is that poorly optimized that it genuinely takes about as long as one of these charms to reload, and the entire time it's doing that, despite the fact that you're not in the game, it's going to still waste your durability. That's great. Also, I'm nearly done getting the ultimodium. This chocolate cake is good. Oh, And the charm has just broken. So, from that little expedition, we were only able to get 24 Orthomodium, which is about 6 off of our target goal. But it is, if memory serves me correctly, a 50-50 chance that we can double any ore that we grind. So, fingers crossed, we'll be able to double again at the very least 6 of these 24 ores, so that we can have enough Orthomodium to make all of the Eternal Stellars that we need. Now, I've just got to find my way back to the Waystone. Actually, no I don't, because I have this thing. And let's chuck it on in. Come on, give me something good. Give me something worth it. 39! Yes! There we go. So, let's smelt up the 39, and we should be able to craft all of the Eternal Stellars that we're going to need. Right then, so let's check. How many more Eternal Stellars do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4. I specifically need 5 of them, so let me craft 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, no! Are you kidding me? I didn't even think you need... I'm so stupid! I will take those with me. Finally, a use for all of this XP. Okay, and after coming back from going on another one of those mining trips, I was able to successfully get quite a bit of X-Petrified ore, 'cause it's not exactly rare. I just filtered my magnet to just X-Petrified and just went ham once again. So if we throw these in here, we should finally be able to craft ourselves that 5th Eternal Stellar. Right then, now to actually put it on my gear. So, the Ethereal Circlet is first, makes us immune to suffocation and elytra crash damage forever. Now, there we go. Watch it heal itself back up. And the next one after that is the Dormant Creeper Spore, immune to explosion damage. Now we're immune forever. After that, the Braces of the Titans, critical hit damage is now doubled once again. Forever. Then we have the Everlasting Rock Candy, immune to damage and death by starvation. And the last thing of mine that I've got to use it on isn't even in my inventory right now, because I took it off. Specifically just because I didn't want to drain it of durability. And that's the Speed Charm. Now it's time to use it on Ruby's stuff. We've got to make 14 more Eternal Stellars. We've hit our first 5-digit. Can't wait till we hit our first 7-digit. You can't put them on Tinker's items. Okay, I made 2 extra for no reason. I made 2 extra by accident. Whoopsies. Tell you what, I'll use one on my shovel. No? Am I not allowed to put it on my shovel? That's interesting. Am I not allowed to make my shovel invincible? Well, I guess I've just got 2 extra Eternal Stellar to spare, which is a wild sentence. And with this last charm applied, there we have it. Everything in Ruby's arsenal is now completely indestructible. Let me just grab this table, bring it out of the way so it's not stuck down here. Now that feels very satisfying. Very satisfying indeed. Because, I mean, now I truly am done. Genuinely, I'm done. For the most part, at least. All I have to do now is wait for the Infinity Nuke and the Infinity Hammer to finish charging. We have a full set of the strongest armor in the game. We have some of the strongest weapons in the game available to us. All of our stuff is indestructible. We're nearly unkillable due to all of these little trinkets, I guess, and we've only got a single charm. We have so much more spaces for charms that we could just get that would make mobs just ignore us. And I mean, this thing over here, this little guy, the ore miner underneath it, I kind of just don't need anymore, because I don't need ore anymore. Right now, we have whatever resources we need. There's nothing more we need to get. The only reason I was building that was to get a renewable source of, vibranium and unobtainium and Orthomodium, and that can't even do it. Why else do we need renewable resources when we have everything? We are never going to run out of food. We're never going to die. We've got phantoms to deal with. We've got access to flight. The only thing we need now is more power. And obviously to hook it up to the force field generators, so we're 100% safe in this base. But beyond that, we're kinda done. We're kinda done. That's it. There's nothing left. I mean, there's tons left, don't get me wrong, there's so much more we could do. But in terms of survival, we've won. There's nothing... We're not gonna die. There's no need to worry about our survival anymore because... I mean, yeah, Cat and Box can destroy everything we've built, but I highly doubt they could kill us. I mean, unobtainium armor isn't just some of the strongest armor on this planet. It's some of the strongest armor in the galaxy, which is why I'm really happy that this particular planet has the resources necessary to craft it. But there's very little that could, like, actually hurt us at the moment. At all. And even if they could, we've got access to teleportation. And I've got a gun. I've got a bright pink gun. Look at that. Little glitchy, but, you know. The only thing left is to wait for that to charge. Link up the force field to our generators, and then I think it's about time we go and see what Guri's been cooking up, because I don't think I've forgotten about him. Although, their guards might have forgotten their skins today. With survival out of the way, I think it's finally time we pay our little friend a visit, because that button looks oh so very tempting. And I think it's time, very soon, to get back on with the story of Anhedonia. Because I'm going to be honest with you now, I'm going to get a little real. If you're watching this, it means you've already seen the video where I said, you know, we're kind of trying to wrap Anhedonia up. These last few sessions that I've been recording on my own, I've been doing so to get the big grind out of the way, so that me and Ruby can go back to telling the story, and then eventually not having to tell this story at all. Because I've made it no secret over the time that I've been playing this mod pack that my interest and my sort of enthusiasm for it has dipped incredibly low into the negatives. Not because it's a bad mod pack, not because it's a boring story to tell, but because it was just so grindy. This mod pack has very little in terms of reaping the rewards of doing stuff. And the story that we were trying to tell, that I wanted to tell and that I sort of dragged Ruby along for the ride for, was something that I just didn't plan properly. I didn't equip myself with the tools that I think I needed in order to tell it in the way that I wanted to. And don't get me wrong, I'm fixing that. Like I mentioned, if I'm giving this story an ending, which I am, I'm doing it right. But I just wish it had been a consistent level over the course of the series. Because it's something I talk about a lot with Ruby. I don't so much talk about it on here a lot. I don't think I've ever addressed it on here, despite the many attempts I've made to address it, but God, this series has been running since basically the pandemic, and we had so much time together at the start to do whatever we wanted because we were isolated, and then time went by, things went back to normal, and it's kind of just me now. Don't get me wrong, Ruby's still more than willing to help, and he wants to help, and he wants to tell this story, and he likes telling the story, but this isn't his passion, it's mine, and because of that, when it comes to stuff like the heavy building and working on all of the sets and writing out the story, I do that on my own, because it's my passion, it's my story to tell. But it's too much for me to do on my own, especially this level of storytelling. Ironically enough, some of the biggest feedback I've gotten about this series is that they don't like the storytelling. They don't like how it weaves in and out of regular gameplay, which was, you know, the initial point of this series. I designed it this way specifically as an homage to The Shadow of Israfel, which was, you know, the big thing that I watched growing up. It was the first thing I watched growing up. I wanted it to feel like what was happening was this weird blurred mix between fiction and fact, you know, gameplay and story. And I think I achieved that. It's just the only people that it reached didn't seem to like it. Or if they did, they didn't stick around because I didn't do it justice. This has been my first ever big project, just in general. This is probably going to be the second to last episode where Anhedonia is normal, like this. The last one that's just going to be me. Because going forward, the format's going to change. And it's going to change... Well, it's going to change in the way that the most vocal of my watchers, viewers, sort of suggested. And that's not to say that this is a bad idea, by the way. I don't want you to think that I'm saying that. I truly believe that this format is really interesting and really cool and just something that I definitely want to try again. But That being said, I do want to hopefully move on to doing YouTube full-time at some point in my lifetime. I mentioned it in the last video I ever uploaded, before I started putting these ones out again. But the idea of working a normal 9 to 5 is not something that my body wants to do. And I feel such, main character syndrome saying that. Because everyone works a 9 to 5. Everyone doesn't want to work a 9 to 5, and I'm not special. I'm really not special. But I just have to hope and believe that if I just keep doing this, eventually I'll get what I want. But because I want to do this as a job full time, I'm gonna do the smart thing, or at least what would be the business sound thing, and change the direction of my content to sort of, be appealing to the people that are seeing it. So, when Anhedonia returns, Season 3, it's going to be a much more obvious split. There are going to be lore episodes, focusing on Guri and Cat and Box, and the story of Anhedonia. And then there are going to be just me and Ruby episodes, where the lore takes a backseat, might not even be there, and we just focus in on a single mod. Because like I mentioned earlier, this mod pack has so many mods, some that we've still not even touched. It's genuinely impressive how much is packed into here, and there are some that I just want to cover before we call it a day on this series. This feels very bittersweet for me, I'm going to be honest. It feels very bittersweet. Because it doesn't even feel like a failure. I think that's why it feels so bittersweet. Because it's not a failure, it's not giving up, it's just this era of my life is coming to a close. I mean era, because this series has been going for like 2 years now. So much has happened. And by moving on, by soft resetting Season 3, by changing the way this series is forever produced until it's done, I am marking a defining end to the era of Anhedonia. And that's terrifying. That is so scary, because I've done so much. And I have put so much time into this series. Genuinely so much. I can genuinely just go and look. This instance of Anhedonia alone, I have played for a total of 47 days, 14 hours, and 3 minutes straight. That is how long I have had this game open for, how long I've been playing for, whether it's recording, or planning, or building. 47 days straight. And that doesn't sound like much. It really doesn't sound like much, but that is 2 years worth of time. Son of a bitch. And I guess I am a little sad that the series didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to, but I mean, no one gets anything right on their first try. No one gets anything right on their 10th try or their 100th try. Perfection is impossible. But I just wish I'd done this series more of a service. And there's nothing stopping me from trying it again in the future. There really isn't. But I guess I just had such high expectations of myself. I thought that this would be the perfect start to my journey. When has anything ever been perfect for me? When has anything ever gone the way I wanted to? My life is defined by my lack of good luck. But I'm still very proud of everything that I've done in this series. Everything I've tried to do. I want to show you something. It's about 4,000 blocks away, so, we've got a bit of a journey to go on. But it's in this direction. Distant Horizons is kind of bugging out at the minute. You'll have to ignore that. But I want to show you this. This thing right here. We're at 0, of the Anhedonia server. Literally the very center. The very beginning. And this right... Will you fuck? And this right here is the very first thing I ever built on this server. And it's not something that's ever even going to be used in the story. But it's something that you've probably seen a couple of times by accident whenever I've chosen to leave it in. But this is supposed to be the Martyr's TARDIS interior. It's not, but it's definitely not what I wanted from the Martyr's TARDIS interior. It's just what I could cobble together from whatever blocks were actually in the mod pack. And no spoilers, but this was the original concept for a device that might actually get used pretty soon in the story. But this is the first thing I ever built. And I want to show it off in this episode. Because I don't think I'm ever going to get the chance to again. I'm pretty sure all of these are empty, by the way, but I am just checking, because I remember the idea of leaving an Easter egg for myself in one of these. No, there was nothing in there. God damn it. But I guess I want to show it off just because it's indicative of just how much I've wanted to do, how I've been thinking about the story from the very beginning. This was back before I even knew how I wanted Anhedonia to end. This was before I even knew how I wanted it to start. What, you think we came up with the idea of the Furry Rebellion day one? No, that was it that just happened to us, that we weaved into the story. And then, well, we formed a story around it, but this was the first ever thing we built, and there's actually a bit of a secret passage along here that you can only get to if you walk through here. But the idea was, I don't even remember what the idea was going to be, but the idea was going to be that at some point we had to crawl around inside the Martyr's TARDIS in order to find the heart of the TARDIS or whatever. And this was it. And I remember being so proud of this room. And this crystal thing that I still don't even know what it is, what it's supposed to be, but it looked cool. And that's the important thing. And here we are, just in the void. In a void. With a crystal. Pretty cool. But yeah. That's this place. There's more that I should probably say. There's more that I can't think to say. And there's some stuff that I can think to say that I just don't want to because, well, it just wouldn't have a point. There'd be no point to saying it. But I'm really proud of everything I've done for this story, for this server. I'm really proud. Because even though it's and even though the story is cobbled together and not thought out, and even though Ruby's not exactly been playing with me for the past few sessions because it's just more work than it is fun, this was just me being purely creative. This was me just finally doing something with all of that goes on in my head. And I have no idea what comes next. It's not done. We haven't even finished. We're starting to tell the last part of the story of Anhedonia. But I don't want it to end. I don't want it to finish. Because I'm scared. I'm really scared of the future and what comes next. I'm scared of there not being anything next, of not being able to come up with anything else. Sorry, I just took a moment there to stare at myself. I don't know why I did that. I want to show you some of the other sets that we've built over the years, because I don't think I'm going to use them. I genuinely don't think I'm going to get to use them. And even if we do, who knows? You know what, spoiler warning. In the event that we do end up using some of these sets, if you don't want to see them, just skip to this timestamp, the one on the screen, and you won't get spoiled. But I'm done waiting, and I want to show them off. Well, this one's less spoilers, we all know about this one, but welcome to Ophelius. One of the first sets we ever built, and we didn't even fully build it ourselves. We literally just expanded on a village that was already here. I built this little hut. It's kind of, it was supposed to be a lot more grand, but I don't know, we were never going to come back here again, so I didn't see the point. But yeah, this was Dr. Phil's house. This is where he was supposed to live. And if we come around the back, this wasn't here when we actually recorded the episode at Ophelius. So you kind of never got to see it. You can see you though. You never got to see this place. We never got to use it. But this is Lenore's grave. And for those that care, Lenore was Dr. Phil's wife, who I believe she died of old age. I'm having trouble remembering my own lore here. I write it all down for a reason, but I can't be bothered to go and look for the lore Bible. But if it wasn't old age, then it was poisoning from the well over here. See, the original lore of this pit was that Ophelius was a mining town that was mining a very specific type of mineral. But they hit a gas pocket that basically just made it too lethal to go down into the mine. And because of that, people started moving away because, you know, nothing to support them here. That didn't end up being the canon story for Ophelius. We ended up changing it to something else, but that was the original draft. And we even did a whole game theory on what this gas could actually be, and we did find that there was a legitimate gas that was purple that came from mining in caves. I just don't remember which one it was, and it turns out the gas was also toxic, so, you know, kind of accurate to life. But yeah, this is Ophelius. First ever set. And then, of course, we've got the orbital drop forward command post, another one that we've seen recently that I was supposed to have updated, but I haven't. I might end up updating it depending on how the story goes going forward, but this is where we left it. It's supposed to now be owned by the Furry Rebellion. It's supposed to have furry guards everywhere, and it's supposed to be refitted to look more nature-y. But yeah, this was one of the more recent sets I built. You can hear the minecart going around inside that's responsible for the lights. But yeah, I did this in two... I remember watching back the episode that this was featured in when we were doing the editing. Ruby completely missed the instructional book. I don't remember where I put it, but here. I put an instructional book in the item frame underneath the button that said, immersive portals didn't work and Portality doesn't support vertical portals, so here's a button to progress the story. The writer. And he just didn't fucking pick it up. So my little joke was kind of for nothing, which is sad, but oh well. And then we've got these islands over here. Artificial slime islands, they're supposed to be, that are being held in the air by this crystal that's got like a false gravity generator inside of the island that it's powering. But yeah, again, another small set. I don't have too much interesting lore about this one to exposit, but If I think of any, I'll tell you what it is. Oh yeah, we've got the Sanctum Sanctorum. I didn't build this. This is just a naturally generating structure. And I was originally going to do something more important with this. I was going to give it a purpose, but I just never did. Nothing ever came up, and we never needed to come back here, because again, it was just a normal structure, so I don't even particularly know why this waystone's still here. Because, I mean, the base is right there. If we just fly up a little bit, it's 300 blocks away. You can see the archway. I can see the Power Flower Tower Power Flower from here. Then again, that's not too much of a feat considering how big it is. Then we've got Fill End, which is the end of episode 1 of a spin-off series we were filming about Dr. Phil. If I go to Fill End 2, you've probably seen that once or twice. Yeah. We were doing this whole bit where Dr. Phil went on an adventure to find us the lettuce that we were missing, and the bit was going to be that when he came back from this side series, we'd already gotten it. But he was going to fight, like, the 7 lords of lettuce, or whatever, the 7 vegetable lords, and we even started putting together, like, dungeons and stuff for us to run through, but again, it was just... I made it so much work for just a shitty little side series that the fun, I feel, got sucked out of it. And it was just, again, so much work for just a shitty little bit that we never returned to it. I can't show you raid in progress top or raid in progress because I know for a fact that we're going to use those, and I also can't show you the end portal facility because that's going to be coming in the next episode. But I can show you the nuclear drill. Is there an exterior? No, there's not. Okay, we'll go to the interior. Or at least we would if the game wasn't crashing. Here we go. So we're quite the distance out at the minute. Oh, there we go. Big lag spike. Oh, there we go. Ignore that. But, this was built to be one of the raids. that never ended up getting used. And there's a very specific reason why it never ended up getting used. And if you look up, you might be able to tell. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. No fall damage. But this is one gigantic nuclear-powered drill that drilled into the earth and left footholds there. And it used to open up into this cool spider-like creature that would drill into the ground. That's what these holes are along here. But there was a very specific activation procedure that you had to go through to get it to all work. You had drill, extend, drop, core, and claws. And these aren't in order. And what ended up happening was I ended up hitting them in the wrong order because it had been too long. And the claws ended up getting stuck together. And the only way to fix it would be to manually break and rebuild all of them. There's no command trickery I can do to fix this. It's not the reason why we didn't end up using it. We didn't end up using it because I never planned a story around it. I never planned out what the actual raid would be. I just built a giant drill for no reason. And I thought, oh, I'll write a story once it's done. And then I broke the drill, so I never wrote the story. But this exists just on the map, and it has for a long time. It's even got a base and everything that I built up. And this was going to get deleted when we actually, shot the episode. But this was just how I got rid of all of the material that it mined up. Just so that, it wouldn't spill out everywhere or fill up the chests inside. But this kind of brings me on to the next thing that I wanted to show you, which is this system over here. Again, something that we never got to use, and you probably saw me building with at some point. Why are you pink? That's weird. But this used to be a whole interconnected monorail system that genuinely does run across the length of the whole map. If I just open up the map and zoom out, I can't zoom out too far because it'll start lagging the server, but this monorail runs the entire length, and I do mean the entire length, of every single cat and box build I have built on this server. You can see at the bottom just how far we're going based on the coordinates, but this thing is massive, and it cuts through so many beautiful structures, and it's fully rideable. And I'm just probably never going to get the chance to use it or show it off. Because again, I built it with these plans in mind, and then these plans just never ended up happening because I never wrote them out. I never scripted anything to do with them, and by the time it would have been time to use them, they either weren't finished, or the story was just in a completely different place, so we missed the chance to use it, and I could try and work it back in. But it just wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't flow. It wouldn't be natural. So it kind of just sits here abandoned. Which, again, is really fucking sad. But yeah, if we follow the monorail, not that way, because that way only leads in one direction to probably the biggest spoiler on the map, so I'll save it to last. But if we go back along the monorail track, we will eventually come to the next big thing that I want to show off. So we're just going to keep going in this direction, and I'll see you when we get there. And that's this place right here, which is to be immediately met with what is probably a very broken elevator door system. If I hit open, yeah, that ain't moving. I don't think there's actually... Wait, yeah, there is a way out of here, because I broke it and never fixed it. Hang on. Yeah. This was meant to be the Season 1 finale, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's broken. But this was going to be the Season 1 finale. And the reason we never ended up using it is, one, because it wasn't finished, and it still isn't. But two, because it just seemed too soon, so we thought, oh, we'll do it as the Season 2 finale. And then Season 2 ended up like this. So I think you can see how that went. Oh, are we crashing? No? Well, that would have just been the icing on the cake of my point. Oh, are we crashing again? No? Okay, this place is just slow. But this was the interior to a colony ship, an Anhedonian colony ship. If you cast your mind back to the original story of Anhedonia, the planet was evacuated. Quote unquote. That's what, people thought was happening. And I'm going to let you in on a little spoiler, because thinking about it now, I have no idea if this is going to be used for the final cut of the story of Anhedonia. I don't know if it's going to actually be said So, again, secondary spoiler warning. If you don't want to spoil potential plot lines for the end of this series, skip over to the next couple of seconds. But it was supposed to be that the supercomputer in charge of Cat and Box didn't actually evacuate its citizens. It specifically put them on ships that it labeled as evacuation ships, and then flew them into the sun. And the only reason there are still civilians left on Anhedonia that are hiding from the oppressive Cat and Box regime is because their ship just never launched. There was a mechanical fault that caused the ship to never launch. And that was supposed to be what this is. This was supposed to be the interior of that ship. Alright, then I think I might have fixed the lag spikes. Let's go inside. So when you enter the ship, you were supposed to enter from an outside door, and you come out through this elevator here. Let me just take off my gem helmet for a second to get rid of the night vision, because this place is a lot more atmospheric when you can't see the roof. Or I guess it's a lot brighter than I thought it was originally. But this is what this place looked like. If we make our way through here... Ooh, one detail that I do want to point out is the pipes. Every single one of these frames you see, there is a pipe behind it or running through the system to give it that extra little bit of depth. That's what all the black stuff was outside. That's the covering for the pipes, so that you can't see the outside world through the framed blocks. But, you know, then we have this whole bridge system here, where... all the way below us are rusted and fallen out bridges, and then all the way above, up until a certain point, there are normal bridges, because, you know, it rusted, fell through, and destroyed all of these. You'd have to go through the emergency fire exit, or the emergency doors here, and you'd have to climb your way up through the ship, until you got to, not this level. Every level going upwards has one of these blocked off, so you can't get out of it, except for the correct one. So if we keep going up, and we just keep opening doors, eventually we'll get to the correct one, and we'll know it's the correct one, because you'll actually be able to leave the fire exit. There we go. Oh yeah, I also remember I didn't put framed blocks on the doors specifically so you could see out of them. But yeah, if we walk across this bridge, we just come on through here, and we go to the other side. Eventually, we come across what looks to be an infirmary or a medical room, whatever you want to call it. The doors are missing for some reason. I don't remember what I was going to do with this room. I don't remember why I put it here. It's just a hospital room. But then if we come through here, and we open up the doors... surprised they still work. You get just a nuclear reactor. I'm going to be honest, it is just a nuclear reactor. This is supposed to be either the warp drive or the power source for the entire ship. And you were supposed to come in here and it'd be a time trial where you'd have to race to the other side before you literally turned into a radioactive, goopy monster. And then you'd go through a door that I never built. But that's all I've got for the interior of the ship, because using it just seemed so far away that I just kind of never ended up building the rest of it. But yeah, this is the interior of the ship. If we want to see the outside of the ship, the exterior, I can show you that as well. So, this entire area is completely fenced off with several sets of steel. All the way around. We had to cut into a mountain. You know how big of an issue, how hard it is to cut into a mountain? Some of this was done with World Edit, but a lot of it we had to do by hand because World Edit doesn't like flowers. But yeah, we built a whole ass wall. Even the parts that you'd never see. All the way along the outside of the perimeter, just so that, quote-unquote, nothing could get in. I cut down whole forests for this. And then, of course, we have the ship itself, which, if you play Destiny, you'll recognize as one of the Cosmodrome ships. We didn't build this. Just straight up, disclaimer, we didn't build this. I took the schematic. We built this. And Ruby built that. But we didn't build this. This was just something we were going to use because it looked cool. The gate to it was supposed to be somewhere around here. I don't think we ever built one. But yeah, this was supposed to be the colony ship that never launched. And we were going to put a bunch of other silos in the surrounding area as well. And obviously it's rusted and old because it's been here for several years, completely unattended. But But yeah, this was the ship that was supposed to have burned those last few colonists by sending them into the sun. And this would be the teleport pad that would teleport you to the interior of the ship. But yeah, this was the colony ship. The last couple of things I have on here are technically spoilers for stuff that I know is going to happen, so I can't show you these two, the Central Control Lab and the prison. I don't know what I Don't Know Buddy is, so let's check that one out. Oh. Right, okay. And then we've got Z-Series starting point, which is kind of what it says on the tin. It's the starting point for a series that I planned to do with Z on Anhedonia, but we never ended up doing. Partially because we didn't have time, partially because Z can't run Anhedonia. But this was actually going to be a mine colonies series. We were going to do a series using mine colonies set before the collapse of Anhedonia and the takeover of Cat and Box, where refugees from that colony ship set up their sort of temporary village after being on the run from the Cat and Box troops that were now suddenly trying to murder them. But that just never ended up happening, which is a shame because we had characters picked out and everything. It was cool. It was nice. And then the last thing I have on the list to show you is obviously my Starsig base, which is not really changed all that much since you last saw it. I haven't really finished this series. I haven't recorded it in a long time. Mainly because I hit a really big roadblock, and I sort of just needed a break, which was this whole thing with the system not working. I'll probably finish this at some point. It can be like Anhedonia Plus, in a sense. Once Anhedonia is done, this will be the only thing the server's used for. And I'll try and wrap that up when I'm done with Anhedonia. But yeah, I'm really proud of this base. To say that I didn't build the exterior myself, I have made a lot of changes to it that I would qualify as, working at the fair use. I've done a lot of editing to the actual shape to make it an actual circle, since the people that created it originally seemed to have a vendetta against symmetry. And just in general, I've added a lot to the top, I've removed a lot from the top, and I've turned it into my own little project that I'm pretty pleased with. The original idea for this, there was story and lore supposed to happen with this. This thing's a spaceship. It's got the rest of it buried underground, and I don't mean that hyperbolically. There's actually just another half of this underground. And the whole thing was going to be when Cat and Box finally attacked the main Anhedonia base, we were going to evacuate all of the civilians that were originally going to be living there, because again, Mine Colonies series, they were going to show up after that series was done, requesting shelter. They were going to show up there and live at our Anhedonia base, and then when they attacked our Anhedonia base, we were going to put them all here as refugees. And then we were going to take off into the sky with this ship, and then it was going to become like a floating battle station. Think Borderlands, that kind of thing, where they send the city into the air. It was going to be that type of thing. And I was going to lift it out of the ground with the Create mod and everything, but then that was before I knew the Create mod had limitations with glue, and just didn't end up working out, which is a shame, because I liked the idea. That's everything I have to show you. The rest of it you'll see eventually anyway. You're not missing out on much, don't worry. Everything that I haven't shown you, I know for a fact will be used in Season 3, and potentially Season 4, depending on how long this runs for. But there's one last place that I do want to visit that you have seen before, and that hasn't changed since, but I feel like deserves a special mention. And that's right here. Right where it all began. So long ago now. This is where it started. And you're still here. One of my strongest memories from creating this series has been back when we were still heavily recording, back when it was still new. Ruby used to tell me all the time that whenever he met someone new, or whenever he was interacting with someone, he always used to excitedly tell them, hey, I'm part of this Minecraft series, why don't you check it out? And he would promote the hell out of this series in person to whoever he met. And that embarrassed me beyond belief. Because this is just a shitty little Minecraft series. And I guess part of me even then sort of didn't quite believe it deserved the attention. That it was just cringy. But he still did it anyway, and he was always so proud when he showed people. I could count on one hand the amount of people I know that would be willing to go to bat for me the way Ruby does. And I know even less people that would be willing to destroy their social life like that just because it would make my life better. Just because it would have the chance of making my life better. I don't say it this sincerely a lot, but you mean so much to me, Ruby. Thank you for doing everything that you could to try and make my dreams come true while we were filming this series. I know you'll always be there for me, just like I'll always be there for you. But I did want to just say thank you. Because I don't think I could have done this without you. If this zombie interrupts my heartfelt speech, I'm going to kill myself. You son of a... And I just wanted you to know that I appreciate you beyond belief for that. And I can only hope I get the opportunity to do the same for you in the future, with whatever it is you might want me to be there for to help you with. To my ward, Z, thank you for quite the same. Not only for making pretty much all of the art ever used in this series, but for just being there for me emotionally. You and Ruby, I do feel, are two sides of, not the same coin perhaps, but you're both my other halves, in the most platonic way possible, dear God. You both mean the world to me, and you've both made making Anhedonia easier. You both made it fun, both made it worthwhile, both made my life worthwhile. So thank you for that. Anhedonia's not done. We've still got one more episode of Season 2, and then we've got all of Season 3 left to come. But this is the end of Anhedonia as it is now. Like I mentioned, it's changing. The era is ending. I'd say over, but, you know, one more episode. So, from this version of me that you have all known simply because one day, on a whim, I decided to make a random Minecraft Let's Play. Because I was bored being locked inside. This is goodbye. And now I feel like I'm milking it and being slightly overdramatic, so I'll call it there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I just hope it's a good one. I love you all. Thank you for watching.